The weather this Thanksgiving is going to be absolutely crazy. We're talking about tornadoes in the south, severe weather in the south. We're talking about up to 12 inches of snow in the north. We're talking about cold blasts that might reach negative 30 degrees below average, this and more. We're going to talk about all the weather you need to know from now up until the end of Thanksgiving weekend. So let's start with our jet stream and how things are moving and where things are placed right now when it comes to weather systems. Right now we have a low pressure system right over Arizona. That's going to cause a lot of problems for us in Texas. So we can see it has a nice trough ejection right in that area. And that's what's going to be causing a couple tornadoes possible today, along with mostly wind and a little hail. And this is also going to continue to go off and produce more problems in Arkansas, other areas, before it drifts off and does not do a lot. Now we have another low pressure system that'll be developing on Tuesday. This is going to bring the possibility of snow in the Dakotas, Minnesota, and Iowa area, and then it's going to strengthen, cool down our temperatures just a little bit, and produce maybe some lake effect snow in the Great Lake regions like Wisconsin, Michigan, New York, and Pennsylvania. And after this, it's just going to cool down the United States just a little bit, and then we're talking about lots of other snow that's going to be happening in here. And look at all this one. It's going to be very windy, as you can see, throughout Thanksgiving week and after Thanksgiving. So could see a lot of turbulence during your Thanksgiving day. And then look at this, a giant low pressure system ridge. We haven't seen a giant low pressure trough. We haven't seen one of these in a very long time that's quite like this. And it's hinting at it being extremely below average when it comes to temperatures. Let's talk about our severe weather first. Today we have a level 2 out of 5 slight risk encompassing a decent portion of Texas. We have a 2% tornado threat, 5% wind risk, and a pretty strong 15% hatched hail threat. So we could see some very large hail today as well. I don't think tornadoes will be that expected, but we could see 1 or 2 brief tornadoes out of this today. This is Sunday, by the way. Now, tomorrow, Monday, we see a much larger slight risk encompassing portions of Texas and right in between Dallas and Houston area, going all the way up there into Mississippi area. We're seeing a very large 5% risk of tornadoes along with a 15% wind and hail risk. Let's talk about it in just a second. And then we also have a possibility of severe weather in the eastern portion of the Dixie Alley area and maybe even Tennessee. This could be upgraded to a slight risk later on as well. So here's what we're looking like when it comes to our storms. Right now we got a bunch of storms that are starting to populate there in the Texas Panhandle, and then our main threat is going to be the possibility of some supercells firing right there at the tip in between New Mexico and Texas, and that's where we could see the greatest chance of our golf ball plus size hail and a brief tornado or two. Then after that, things get really messy. We just see a very long line of convective system, and it's just going to be mostly wind risk, maybe some hail, and maybe a very small chance of a brief spin up tornado. By overnight hours, it's just going to basically look the same. Very messy, just a bunch of little storms that are forming a line. So if we don't get any crazy tornadoes or anything out of this section here, pretty much everywhere else has a very small chance of a tornado. But then after that on Monday, this is 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock Central Time. As we can see, we still have a very messy line of storms there. But if we can get any discrete storms, which it looks like could be possible, we could see a chance of a tornado or two in this area. This is where we have a 5% risk. Let's go look at a different model. I wouldn't be surprised to see 1 or 2 tornadoes tomorrow, but that's about it. I'm not seeing a big chance. If this does actually expand more and we have more semi-discrete cells, not all compiled in one, we definitely have a little bit of a greater chance of tornadoes tomorrow, which is Monday. But then after that, who knows what's going to happen. We could see the possibility of tornadoes again here in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia on Tuesday, and maybe some hail as well. It does look like a little bit more discrete, but this is a little far out. We'll update you in a day or two of what you should be worried about. Now let's talk about snow and Arctic air. So right now, this is our severe weather that we're talking about. A low pressure system is going to travel north, and then this is what we were talking about earlier, a little storm system right here that is going to produce some snow to the Dakotas, Minnesota, Michigan, and we could see lake effect snow in New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Very confident about this. We'll tell you what your snow totals could be in just a second. But then after that, we're seeing a pretty good chance of having some snow go again over maybe South Dakota, definitely probably going to be in portions of Iowa, maybe some portions of Nebraska and Missouri, but basically south of the Iowa border, likely just going to be rain. And then after that, we could see possibility of a couple other storm systems that move through and produce snow again. Now, this is like 3 different snowstorms. What we could have happen is this kind of, the low pressure systems kind of form together a little closer, and we have our big Arctic blast a little sooner. If that's the case, which is what the Euros is saying, we're seeing the possibility of maybe it turn into like one big, long, messy storm system that kind of all turns into one messy storm. Again, that's what this is saying. Either way, Iowa does seem like it has a very good chance of seeing snow along with South Dakota and Nebraska, and this is on the 30th. The snow that we're talking about before that hits North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota will start on the 25th, which is a Tuesday, and then it'll travel over the Great Lakes sometime around Wednesday. And then after that, it'll produce lake effect snow on Thanksgiving when it comes to areas in Pennsylvania, New York, maybe even parts of Michigan again, if that does get a little slow there, before we have maybe a possibility of more snow after Thanksgiving, starting maybe as soon as Black Friday or Saturday. This is what our snowfall totals could be like. In certain places like North Dakota, we could see as high as 5 inches, most likely in between 1 to 4 inches, centered right about 2 or 3. Portions of Minnesota could see as high as 6 inches, but again, in central and northern Minnesota, we're looking at probably just 2 or 3 inches for most of y'all. Maybe some places could get a little higher, some places get a little less, especially there in central north areas of Minnesota could see a little bit more. And if you live closer to the lakes, could see higher amounts close to their 7 inches. And Wisconsin could see 1 inch or 2 a coating all the way down there towards the Iowa border. And then from lake effect snow, you never know exactly how much snow you could get, but if you do live on the lake, you could see no snow, or you could see up to 10 inches. It really just depends on how well and how much that moisture is compiled into one. And then along your Pennsylvania and New York border, could see as high as 8 inches, maybe 10, depending on how well that lake really affects the snow. And then again, portions of central New York, all the way up there to Vermont. So these are all the places that can see snow again. I'll let you see how much snow, but that's our expected totals from that. And then after that, when we have our secondary system, we could see the possibility of a couple inches there in Iowa. I definitely think Iowa's going to see some snow from that, and that's just after Thanksgiving. And then places like Nebraska and stuff could also see a couple inches or 2. Now let's talk about our cool Arctic blast. Today looking at 5 to 10 degrees above normal. And then as we have a little low pressure system that produces that snow for North Dakota and Minnesota, this is on Wednesday, we could see places up to negative 10 degrees there in the Midwest, below normal. But then after that, that's when we can see a possibility of negative 15, maybe negative 20 degrees below normal. Now let's go look at another model. Let's look at the GFS for this. And this is what the GFS is showing. It's showing a very similar pattern. We could see negative 10 degrees below normal in the Midwest area. And then we could see a very big Arctic blast. This is just one model, but showing up to negative 20 degrees below normal, which is absolutely crazy. Is that going to happen? Maybe, maybe not. It's a little far out to tell, but these models have been showing a possibility of something like this happening for a long time, which makes me believe that we are going to see something at least negative 10 degrees below normal. That could get very cold here soon. Let's get a rough idea of what our temperatures could be. If it does get this bad, we could see temperatures drop as like negative 20, negative 10 to negative 20 degrees in the Dakotas and Montana, Wyoming, stuff like that. And over here in Iowa, we're looking at the teens, Minnesota, the teens, parts of Nebraska, the teens as well. And that's if it does get that cold. It's even showing a little bit here in Iowa, negative 6 to negative 9 degrees, which is absolutely crazy for this time of year. But this is really far out to really tell if this is going to happen or not. All we do know is we are going to get an Arctic blast. What we don't know is how strong that Arctic blast is going to be. Thank you for watching this YouTube video. My name is Colin Holtworth with the Mesocapt Weather Association. Please check out our sponsors. We want to be doing these amazing videos out of them. If you liked it, please drop down a comment. That really helps the algorithm, along with thumbs up and a subscribe if you do like these videos and you want to see them more often. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your Sunday.